context. You imagine a primary 2 student coming in and talking to school, cikgu, Charles Darwin punya theory of evolution kan? What do you think about that kan? Now, as a teacher, how do you react to a Kampung kid coming out, asking you about Charles Darwin because it was in the book, right?
Jom lepas today bersama. Aduh, kesian kenapa? Takkanlah ni.
Stage tu ke?
Kita ada
Haziq dah.
Haikal.
Haziq dekat sini.
Ya, Haziq di belakang kamera untuk recording hari ini. Yeah, so apparently this recording is a very last minute recording.
It is a very last minute recording.
But this is the recording that we've been waiting for like I think awal tahun lagi.
It's been a while for this one. Agak lama juga.
Actually, like we discussed the questions right, so me and Haikal, and then we were like, and then you asked me for the questions. I was like, mana I went through like multiple of my books, and I found it like after 3 books I went through.
Oh man. Sorry guys, my bad. But here we are.
Yeah, it's okay. Because we know that like we know your worth, your value, and what you can bring to the table. So we don't mind just waiting for this long.
Because you guys knew it's going to be epic.
Yes, exactly.
We all knew it's going to be epic.
Actually, you know what? We're gonna put this episode as the last episode of the season.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah. But I don't know, maybe. Okay, for now. I'm not sure what we have in plan. We might have 2-3 guests, but I don't think that's what the plan is lah. But apa nanti kita bincang the meeting nanti. Okay, tak apa. Tapi kali ni, no, I'm just gonna make it clear. This is the last episode. That's it. Last episode.
Okay, let's go for it.
Alright. Okay. So, before we start our podcast, let's explain about Warna Developer is. Warna Developer is a youth empowerment podcast where we try to expose young people to a lot of interesting, empowering individuals, mostly young people, but we don't mind, sharing.
Semi-young people.
Semi-young, a bit old. At least we can give some wisdom to those who are young, right? Because I feel like, you know the saying goes, right? Young people are the future of the generation. So here we are, young people trying to make young people better. Right. Okay. So before we start the conversation with our last guest of the season, okay. So Eizaz, mind explaining about who you are and what you do and everything?
All right, sure. Hi guys, my name is Eizaz. I do a lot of interesting things. We are actually in my office today. So this office hosts 4 companies. It's a motorsports company, there's an import-export company, a management consulting firm, and a tech company. Right, so those are things that I started with a couple of partners, and we're finally in this interesting, nice new place, new swanky place, which you guys are free to use. Feel free to come over whenever.
So this might be our permanent studio for now. We'll see how it goes, but we have Eizaz here to, thank us for giving this place.
Yeah. So I've been in business. I've always been a businessman. I started my business maybe in late 2005, early 2006, many years ago, and I got involved in the music industry.
Yep, definitely.
So I started my career as a musician. Picked up my saxophone, played in clubs for maybe $75 a night or something like this, and I would go back to the office and start selling music instruments. That's basically what I did. That's how I started.
Tapi not only that, you also Tun Mahathir got the attention of your.
So this is very, very interesting, right? So Tun Mahathir's wife, Tun Siti, she plays the violin, right? And she bought a couple of violins from us. I think it's because we're the nearest music shop to the area. Yang paling dekat from the mines turun okay lah.
Betul lah, murah
So we were there, and we got to know each other from there lah.
Oh, so you got to know Tun Siti?
I mean, we've known Tun Siti for a while. Who doesn't know Tun Siti kan?
Yeah.
But I really started getting involved musically with her somewhere around that period.
Oh.
And then I started going for recitals. I organized a concert for them. We put together. It was myself. We had a conductor of RTM at the time, the RTM Orchestra, Datuk Mozani. We had a Malaysian who was graduated from the Juliet School of Music, a guy called Tengku Irfan, composer, very, very talented young chap. And we had all of them. We brought them to the Pedala Leadership Center in Putrajaya.
Wow.
So we hosted a concert for them.
Wow.
Yeah, so that was when I started to get more musically involved in her activities. Yeah.
I see. But like in the midst of your getting ready for the musical activities and all that stuff, right? Did you get to speak to the man himself?
Yes, I have visited the house several times. Visited Tun Mahathir, bless his soul, several times, right? Yeah, and you say what you want about him, right? He is sharp. He's sharp. He's still very, very much there. Still very, very strong, right? And I think he's a living legend, lah.
Living legend.
Politics aside, the guy is a legend.
Aduh, tak tahu lah Tun buat apa sekarang ni kan. Dia pergi PAS lah, dia
And
pergi lah.
he's having fun lah.
Yeah.
He's having fun. I'm sure he's having
I
fun.
think he has nothing. Yeah, he has nothing to lose, right?
So one thing about him, right? I think he just does as he sees fit, right? Like him or hate him, he just does it as it is. Gotta give you a hat to him. At the age of 98, man, who is 98 and still doing this stuff,
Exactly.
dude?
Like he's getting a lot of comments left and right, and he's able to go to places like from an instant.
So we put it this way, I think Dr. Mahathir has raised the retirement age from literally. I walked into a friend's office the other day, kan? And she is a doctor. She has a clinic,
Yeah.
and on her door, the consultation door, you have to listen. He wrote something like, "Listen, guys, Tun Mahathir is 97. If you're here for an MC, think twice." Something like this, so.
Makes sense.
So let's see the good in everything, lah.
Okay lah,
Because if we want to see the bad, oh wow.
I think it's just a matter of choice, right?
I think it's a matter of perspective, lah. What you want to
Yeah.
see and what you really want to learn.
Betul. Aduh.
But today is not normal.
Yeah, it's a
I mean, he himself is a legend.
Yes.
Oh, lah mana.
Kita baru je nak start intern pakai semua kan.
Ah.
Ini lagi sekolah.
Weh, dia dahsyat weh. Dan kita dahsyat tau. Weh.
Jangan kena dengar studio.
Oh, betul. Ini nak abad sikit ni orang Kedah ni.
Oh, Kedah juga lah.
Orang utara lah. Bukan orang utara, dia orang Perlis ni.
Oh, bukan juga lah keluar tu. Dia depends. My dad is from Perlis. My mom from Sabah. We all live in Langkawi. So I was born in Selangor. So whichever hat you want me to wear is all there.
Tak apa.
You got privileges for every single guy.
We like to call it privileges lah.
No, I mean like when you speak the accent, it's just easy for you to access everywhere. It's because like
Orang kami dah keluar. Bahasa kami dah keluar, orang kami dah keluar. Jadi okey lah. Jadi sahabat kan.
good for business, by the way.
It's good for friendships.
Yeah.
It's good to know people. And there's just something about the Utara punya slang kan. Dia macam ni lah. Hang dengar lawak dalam jalan bahasa Utara dengan lawak dalam KL punya slang lain tau. The bahasa Utara one will hit you so hard for some reason. For some reason it just hits so hard, right?
I'm not gonna lie.
Dia macam apa? Pergi main tangtu ke apa, something happens and you expecting just the guy say, "Why did you do this?" Tapi macam awak hang buat lagu tu. You guys goes nuts, Awak hang buat lagu tu. It just goes nuts. There's something about the Utara accent that
Just have that sense of humor.
drives it home lah kan.
Aduh.
Hang tak faham ke? Something like this,
Faham ke?
Awak lagu ni.
Kalau bapak hang lah.
Aduh, macam-macam lah.
Aduh. Okay. Jokes aside.
Might have to edit that all out.
I don't think so. I think we just put it, as a raw segment of the podcast.
That's
Yeah,
right.
tak apa. I mean, we're just sharing our experience and whatsoever. Okay. Tapi when I see jalan kita Eizaz yang dahsyat, memang betul-betul dahsyat lah. So just context. I've met Eizaz at a conference. Thanks to shout out to Daniel. Actually, to be fair, most of the episodes that we have is thanks to Daniel.
A lot.
Yeah, a lot. So,
Oh iya ke?
Yeah.
Oh, hi Dan.
I think we might need to recall for a physical episode with Dan.
Yes. Let's get them on the show.
We did mini series just
Yeah. Tapi tu amat kan?
Yeah, no, we haven't done a physical. I think we should. He's doing some interesting stuff. Like he's doing AI tech, and then education. Now he's the CEO, which is pretty cool. Yeah. But okay, so back off a tangent, but back to the story. So how I met is was pretty cool. So Dan invited me to Sunway.
The Aster Education Summit.
Yeah, I say education. Fun fact: I got a free pass to skip class.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah. Thanks, Madam Shira.
It paid off. It was worth it.
Yeah, so she was my entrepreneur, by the way,
I see.
lecturer. Yeah. So I went there, and I think you were the first.
I was probably the first or second speaker
Yeah,
actually.
first, second speaker. Yeah, and his speech was honestly out of all the speeches, it was the best.
I wouldn't say the best, but I would call it maybe the most, the most real,
Yeah.
right? Because it was my story, right? It's things that I've experienced, and it's things that you may experience too in the future,
Betul.
right? So I think it's relatable.
Yeah, and I think one thing that I got from that speech or got from the story that you got, biar genggam bara api,
Biar sampai menjadi arang.
yeah, biar sampai jadi arang. Yeah, so that's the summary of what I felt about his story. And honestly, when I heard that speech, I cried.
Wow.
Yeah, I was like shedding tears. Yeah.
It's okay. It's okay. When going through business, you'll see a lot of that. Don't worry.
So let's kick off the last episode of the season is with your story, Eizaz.
Sure.
So Eizaz, you're one of the many people that I've met, but your story is very remarkable. Okay, it's not because I think your pathway in life is very different. That you had to start, from the ground at a very young age. You have to drop out of UPSR and pursue business. So why don't you tell a bit about your story, and and how it all started and where you are up until where you are today.
Okay, so as you can tell, yes, it's a fairly unorthodox story, and it's not the sort of story you want to bring back to your parents and say, hey mom, I want to do what this guy did, right? I don't think it would fly that way. My story is I'm one of those interesting guys who don't have a real education per se. I went to MIT, right? I went to MIT. I did my master's in business administration. I was a Bank Negara scholar, right? But prior to that, here's where it gets interesting. I don't have an undergraduate. I don't have a diploma. I don't have a degree. I don't even have an SPM. In fact, I don't even have a PMR, right? So this is where it gets interesting. Officially, right, apart from my master's, the only thing I have is actually a UPSR cert, which I don't know where it went to.
What was your result when you got UPSR?
I think it was a 4 A's.
Oh wow, okay.
So I wasn't a bad student.
Yeah.
Itulah puji diri sendiri sikit. I don't think I was that bad of a student. I think school just became very uninteresting for me when I went to secondary school.
Now, what made it uninteresting? Is it the syllabus, the way that they were teaching?
So di macam ni. My background, I'm a Langkawi boy. Right? I grew up in Langkawi in the late 80s, early 90s, and growing up in Langkawi, I had two very, very good friends at first, right? And those friends were called serious injury and death. Because literally, you go out to play, those are the only friends you play with. You start dalam hutan, kena gigit ular, lemas, all kind of stuff, right? But I mean, it's a kampung place, and every time it rained, I lived in a house on top of a hill dengan jalan tanah, tanah merah punya jalan. And when it rained, it would flood and the water would rise. And I had new friends coming in, lipan, kalajengking, ular, semua kawan lah masa tu. So I come from this sort of, geographical location, and it was fun. I enjoyed myself, right? I think I got to experience life that's not bukan bandar punya life, and it's not even like kampung bandar punya life, it's like kampung punya life, right? My other friends there were actually a bunch of books, right? So early on, I had access to a bunch of encyclopedias, access to a bunch of books that my parents bought for me. While we may not have been rich in money, we were rich in spirit, we were rich in mindset, that was for sure, right? And one of the things that I took away from that is to always be curious, always ask why, get the right questions, ask the right people, get the right answers. And that is something that stuck to me for a very long time. Now, taking all this into the school context, you imagine a primary 2 student coming in and talking to school, Cikgu, Charles Darwin punya theory of evolution kan? What do you think about that kan? Now, as a teacher, how do you react to a kampung kid coming out, asking you about Charles Darwin because it was in the book, right? And I think it was Darwin, his story. He set out to sail to the Galapagos Islands on the HMS Beagle. I still remember that, right? And I was relating some of this to the teacher. He just said, I really don't know what to do with you, I don't know what to do with this kid, right? Now, I took this curiosity with me all the way up to maybe about primary school and secondary school, and then things started to change a bit. Back in primary school, cikgu tu semua they would kind of layan this and say, hey, check out this kid. Yeah, have you met this guru besar? Check out this kid, right? He's asking stuff that we don't know what to do with. And in hindsight, actually, the education system in Malaysia, or at least how we've put it together, there is no pathway, right? At least back then, kan? There was no pathway for people who would display certain skills, certain different levels of aptitude, right? I mean, if you have a 5-year-old, right, asking you about how do I program a computer code, right? That is you either do two things. You either say, hey, this kid, there's something wrong with him, or they say, hey, who can I bring this kid to meet? What do I do with this kid? Who do I ask? I may not know what to do with this kid, but at least I need to ask for help, right? And so back then, I don't think those existed. I can relate this to a story of a friend of mine, Malaysian chap, right, who went to the University of Oxford, right, not Oxford Brookes, like Oxford,
okay,
right, at the age of 14, and graduated with a degree in astrophysics at the age of 16.
What?
Right? A Malaysian chap.
Wow.
Malaysian chap, right? I kid you not. So, why didn't they go to University of Malaysia? Right? Why didn't they go to UiTM? Why didn't they go to any of the schools here? Why did we have to send that guy all the way to Oxford? Number one, okay lah, maybe he's really, really talented, absolute intellectual. But the rigidity of our system just doesn't allow for it, at least at that time. Now things are a bit changing. I remember one of the things that came out from the previous administration was actually the Permata program. Do you guys remember that, this Permata program?
When was this program?
It was for gifted children. It was a program for gifted children, right? Gifted in music, gifted in arts, right? But yeah, coming back to where it was, right? When you start asking these questions, and when your teachers don't have an answer to that, then you kind of get frustrated. So I'm going to relate it back to my speech, and this was a real story, right? I asked my teachers, right, Cikgu, kenapa Bill Gates kaya? And Bill Gates was the richest human being on the face of the planet at this time. And I must have been like about maybe 12 or 13 like this. So I'm naturally, I am attracted to brands. I'm attracted to businesses. I'm attracted to stuff that you look at every day, right? For example, the brand is like this is called Maono. I might just Google it later on. What is this? Who is it from? Who started it? Right? It's just stuff that I just love doing. So I asked around, kenapa Bill Gates kaya? And I got all sorts of answers, Oh, Bill Gates kaya pasal, dia ni Mak Saleh. Dia kaya pasal dia American. Dia kaya pasal dia tahu tipu orang. Macam-macam. Kamu tahu lah orang-orang, and then sampai keluar, tahu orang Yahudi ni macam mana. I got these answers. Play the answer. Now at the age of 13, 12 or 13, I say something is wrong with these answers. Right? This can't be right. And so I came back and asked Dad, hey Dad, why did Bill Gates make so much money? And Dad said, very simple, Bill Gates made something called Windows. I said, okay, why did Windows make money? And then Dad said, do you remember back then where to run your favorite games, right? To run your games, you had to type it all out on DOS, right? And I remember our computer changed to something called Windows, where you had this mouse to move around and click on stuff, and you didn't have to type things out anymore. And they said Bill Gates changed the world. He changed the way the world does things. He changed the world, and he made it better. He made it easier on a global scale, right? And that's how he made his money. And I said, okay, this makes sense. So when I say this makes sense, hey Dad, school doesn't make sense anymore. School doesn't make sense anymore. I think I am not learning the things that I want to learn. Okay, so a bit of a background. Dad was a businessman, right? Dad was a businessman. In his career, he would sometimes say, hey, just have a look at his board paper. And he's just an 11-year-old kid. Have a look at his board paper. And hey, here's a letter that I'm writing to the managing director of Petronas, whatever. Proofread this for me. And he would do this sort of things. And I told him, I see how you when you write a document, when you write a letter, I see the tone of language, I see the choice of words, I see your narrative, I see what you're trying to say. When you go into the boardroom, you want everybody to agree on something. I see how you manage the finances, I see how you manage the numbers. I say, I want to do this, right? And this school thing has just become absolutely uninteresting for me. It is not engaging. It's not interesting. And no one has an answer to any of my questions, right? And so okay lah. You know what? Why don't you stop going to school, right? It's obviously not doing anything for you, and just shadow me. So I shadowed my dad.
But obviously, like once you drop out of school, which is UPSR, you had to go an arduous journey. Then, I mean, what I saw from the speech, you were giving your presentation that you were like a dumpster lah.
Oh, okay.
So nak apa ni?
Dumpster tu business.
Tu business.
Dumpster business actually.
Business.
I think arduous journey susah tu macam mana pun gitu susah juga. If I had gone through the normal route pun, I think I would have been just as difficult. But it would probably just kill me to be there. Just disillusioned with this entire thing.
So basically, it's more like what type of difficulty you wanna go through.
Let's define difficulty. What is difficulty? It's all a matter of perspective, right? Something that's difficult to you, but if you're passionate about it, you understand that this difficulty is good for you. And if you're not passionate about it, you say this difficulty is like BS, right? Why am I doing this for? What is the end goal? Am I going to learn something that is practical, something that can be implemented straight away, right? Yeah. So that's actually why I left. I don't recommend anybody doing it. For 99.9% of the population, this is not a good idea. I'm telling you, it's not a good idea because most people they don't adapt very well to an unstructured system, an unstructured world, and the world is unstructured. Dude, when you left for your SPM, kan, habis result, did you guys work anywhere?
Yeah, I did.
Kan? So out into the working world, and then suddenly, wow, it's big, right? It's big. What do I do with this? There's so many people, there's so many things, there's so many opportunities, there's so many pitfalls. Where do I go? That is the real world. The world is unstructured. So the reason why you go through a school system is to prepare you for that structure, teach you enough about the world so that you come in with two eyes open. I didn't take that one. I just said let's figure out, let's go on an adventure straight away, because it seems so much more fun to me. Now the reason why I don't recommend it is, one is you're going into a very complex, unstructured, I would say, almost random universe all of a sudden, and if you're not prepared, that can be very overwhelming. Secondly is how you react to stress. Now everybody has a coping mechanism. When something bad happens, when you are under immense pressure, under immense stress, what do you do, right? And if you don't know yourself enough, and if you say, I've had this before, I crumble under pressure, I can't take it, then maybe you shouldn't do it. And the reason why I did it, because I knew myself enough. I knew that no matter what comes my way, I will be somehow able to deal with it, somehow able to roll with those punches, to adapt to whatever situation that's out there. And yeah, that was very, very important, because adapting, if you don't adapt, you die, right? What was Darwin, right? Survival of the fittest?
Yes, that's right.
It's now survival of the most adaptable, right? The most adaptable. You don't have to be strong to survive, you have to be adaptable. Can you work in a new environment? Can you work with new people? Can you work with a new industry? You switch your line of work, or you switch your line of study, a bunch of new things come into you. Can you adapt to all those? So I think I could, and that's why I did it.
How did you manage to know yourself at a very young age? Because like when you're young, you're still trying to find yourself. How did you accelerate, or you can that phase?
I think it's because I was just passionate about it. I wanted to know what was beyond the classroom. I wanted to know what was beyond school, right? Because surely there's stuff that's out there, right? And I would open up the papers, and I would read all these guys doing all sorts of amazing things. And we never discussed this stuff in school, right? In my day, that was when, maybe 96, 97, you had things called Yahoo, right? You have stuff like Alta Vista, you have stuff like AOL, and that intrigued me. What is Yahoo? What is Alta Vista? What is AOL? Why did it come about this way? And who are these young guys, man? They look younger than my teachers. Why are they there, and why are my teachers here? These things came to mind. I'm a kid, so I said let's adventure.
Actually, I just wanna, it's just a bit of a tangent, but I just want to complain something about universities. So like how university should be the center of learning, right? It's just that for me, for Malaysian universities, how I see it, like I don't feel like they foster discussion. Yeah, like I was listening to some of my friends from Australia and maybe from UK. Like they had specific classes where the lecturer would sit down with a bunch of students and they discuss random topics, right? Like whether it be from engineering, psychology, and all that stuff, right? Just so people can get what it's like to be in the industry. But in Malaysia, for me personally, what I've gone through, I don't feel like there was a discussion to spark the students' interest to pursue more. Like we can get like assignments, right? That can help you discover all the possibilities of automotive and everything. But I feel like that's not enough. I feel like there has to be like some engagement in making students more curious and more passionate with the love that comes in with learning. Yeah.
So, in Malaysia, a lot of things are KPI driven, right? Let's down to the bottom of it. A lot of things are KPI driven, a lot of things are policy driven, and a lot of things are very, very rigid. That's one of the reasons why I actually left the system, right? That's why I say, this probably isn't the best place for me, right? I think that curiosity, it's not only, I wouldn't say it's only in universities. I think it has to be instilled in every individual and every young person. Ask questions, wonder, that sense of wonder, where has it gone to, right? So, for example, you wonder why the sky is blue. And sometimes the simplest questions have the most complex answer, right? Why is the sky blue? Well, because the rays of the sun hits the earth, and it's very interesting. If you actually walk out to the sky, and here's something that I, as a kid, I thought about it. Why is it the sky is blue? Tapi when you look at my hand, the sun's light is yellow. It doesn't make sense, right? Why is there no blue light again? I mean, simple, silly questions can had the most complicated answer, and the answer actually comes back to a phenomenon called Rayleigh scattering, and it's to do with quantum physics, right? It's how the electromagnetic spectrum reacts to the atmosphere. Okay, I'm going off tangent, but you get the gist, right?
Well, apa ni? Don't you feel that macam university they're just not as engaging as we thought it would be?
So far, my classes are, because it's engineering, most of the classes are just basics of mistake, upwards of engineering. So there's not much discussion to be had. I mean, it's compared to something like a theory of physics. Some students might come and say, I have a theory, we didn't have a discussion.
So actually, if you ask me, it's how the subject is taught. Why should I learn maths? Okay, why should I learn civil engineering, for example? I'm not sure what the lecturer would say. I'm not sure what your tutors would say. But if you ask me, why should I learn civil engineering? I said, because it built the world. Everything you see today was built on maths, right? This entire concrete thing right here. What, you think someone just put agar-agar, put something together? No, there's a formula behind it, right? There was a ratio of concrete, there was a ratio of the limestone, of the quarry, of the mix. Someone had to wait X amount of hours for this to dry, make Y amount of heat for it to put it together, and then to maintain the structural integrity, so when you bang on this thing, it doesn't crack. That's maths. Right? Maths sent man to the moon. Right? Maths is behind everything you do. Open your phone right now. This isn't some magic thing that when I call you, you pick up, right? Man, it's not some jinn that goes out and whispers in your ear. No, it's all maths, right? So how we teach it has to change. We have to instill that passion into the kids, and that is what's missing.
Betul. I think,
and maybe because no one said it in that way before. Tak ada orang pernah cakap, matematik ni pakai untuk apa? No one really said it that way.
Honestly, for engineering, for me, I know you're taking biomedical, right? I know that it's all about the basics, kan? Tapi I don't know, for me as someone, as I was deeply trying to find what makes engineering boring, it's honestly how it's being taught, which
is the delivery.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, I feel like there's so many things that we can discuss about in engineering, right?
No, actually, to be honest, it was a lecture. There was some lectures where I just listened to all ranting. When there was some lectures with data, I was like,
yeah.
You think ranges lah. Let's come back to some lecture.
Tapi I think maybe, I'm not sure lah. I'm not how entirely the university system work, but maybe it's because of the paperwork, the KPI, bureaucracy. Mungkin that's why it's hindering the lecturers to do their best. Maybe we have to look into that aspect as well.
Well, I don't know about that aspect. I'm not an academic. I didn't go to school, so I can't really say that I went through the whole thing. But I can tell you that what is missing is we teach the subject. We don't teach a philosophy behind the subject. Engineering has engineering. It has its own sets of philosophies. Did anybody watch Oppenheimer?
Not yet.
Oh man, you watched already? Oh man, you are going to love Oppenheimer, dude. Because, okay, so I'm a huge physics geek, right? even though I didn't study it. So to see all these guys come to life, you had Albert Einstein, Enrico Fermi, you had people like what was his name again, Richard Feynman, all coming to life, right? And one thing I noticed, one thing I noticed about these intellectuals, right? They had a very deep understanding of philosophy, of their worldview, of the life. For example, civil engineering. Let me think of something that happened. Panama Canal, right? Does anybody talk about the Panama Canal in civil engineering? One of the greatest engineering feats known to mankind, right? And why did they do it? It's because of ships didn't have to go all the way down, pass through Cape Horn, die there, and go back up to the Americas. That's why they cut a hole through a freaking continent, guys, right? And can you imagine the decision making that had to happen? It's not just someone came out to, hey, Queen Victoria, we'd like to cut a hole through this continent. Please give me $25 billion. No, it didn't work that way, right? There are many different considerations behind it and why it was built. And the spirit of humanity, the spirit of mankind to solve that insanely tough problem, which by the way, they didn't have petrol, they didn't have excavators, they didn't have all the stuff we had today. They didn't have all that, seismic sensors, semua tu benda tu tak ada. Kan? It was just a bunch of guys, right, in the early 1900s saying, hey, we have to do this, and they got it done.
Man, you make me love engineering, man.
Engineering is fun. So this coming from a guy who didn't go to school, huh? Engineering is fun. I love engineering. It's the reason why we have things we have today.
True.
And tak ada orang pernah sebut macam ni. Why? Right?
Betul. Apa ni? What was I gonna say? But anyway, like what you said, it's the things that I've been actually what you just said just now, right? I've been like soul searching about the meaning of engineering lately, because so a bit of background. Hajing knows this. I hate it.
It's not fun.
Yeah, I'm not having fun. I'm not sure because of the pandemic or because I don't love it anymore. But I don't know, maybe of the set of lessons. I'm not sure. But I made like a promise to myself, like during internship, I'm gonna make sure that I wanna find the reason why I hate it. But in the same time, I also wanna know what could make me love it again. Why the main reason why I would love engineering. So I was going through YouTube videos, I was going through like people, how they were explaining engineering, and little by little I was interested how people explain that, like I'm taking mechanical, so like, did you know that a mechanical engineer could build the fastest car in the world, Formula 1, right? What about we could build an automobile that sinks into that can drive underwater, submarines, right? Or jets. So like that, when they explained it to me that way, I got interested. And now with you today, it just made me more interested.
So that's why I am sometimes, frustrated on how STEM is being taught. We all talk about science, technology, engineering, and maths and everything, and I think it's really just being taught wrongly. And the passion behind it, the philosophy behind it. I give you an example. I run a software company. This is a software company right here. I can't code. My code is very, very limited, right? I understand bits and pieces. And sometimes I sit down with one of the developers, right? I say, hey man, how would you solve this problem? And I would say, look, here's how I would solve it. I would write this line and that line, and it becomes this huge novel, right? And the guy looks at it, hang on a bit. He writes 5 lines, and it's done. And I say, wow. I said, that's art. You are an artisan. You are a craftsman. You are not a developer. You're not an engineer. You are not a mathematician. You are an artist, right? So it comes back to this. I know we're digressing off the topic. Half of your questions to ask semua tak jawab hari ni, semua tukar kan. But this is where I'm coming from, right? Let's talk about is it a science or is it an art? Which one came first, right?
Arts, right.
So there are many different topics to this. I can't say that is definitive one way, but here's how I will look at it. When my developer came up with this very, very elegant, beautiful solution, it's art, right? So if you ask me, any man can be an artist, anybody can be an artist, it just depends on how good you are at it, right? And the art always comes first, because let's talk about art. Where does art start? Art starts with a blank canvas, that's it. right? It starts with blank canvas, and what you project onto it with your mind, your imagination, that is art. I come, imagine Paris in the 1800s, right? Oh, I would like to build a tall tower based off on steel rods, right? Gustav Eiffel, dia kata gila punya orang, he saw art, he saw the whole thing there. And in his mind, here's how we're going to make it work. Here's how we're going to build a base. Here's the amount of stress that we need. Here's where the, what is it called again? The, I don't know, the torsion of the materials, macam-macam sana kan? So, it all starts with art, right? And it all starts to find us, because we want to find a solution to something. So, why don't we teach it that way, right? Why are we always taught that this creative part and this technical part, they're separate things. No, they are together. Without them, they will not work. We will not have
The things we have
today. They're all together actually.
True.
But yeah, it all starts with what you can imagine and what you can see.
True. I have to agree on that. Yeah.
So it's never been put in this way before. I would not see this in the school syllabus. Put it this way. Tak ada orang akan cakap macam ni.
Betul.
And that's how you instill passion. When you can see things that people don't.
Betul.
Wright brothers, right? 1903, Kitty Hawk, North Carolina. Orville Wilbur Wright say, hey, I want to build something that can fly. Itu gila punya orang, right? So what did they did? They got a bunch of fabric, some bicycle punya gears, and put it all together. Which I think was insane, right? What's his name again? Guglielmo Marconi, the guy who invented the radio. Say, hey, do you know there is a way that I can send something from A to B without any of you seeing it? Dia kata ni pakai apa? Pakai jin, pakai setan. He was almost put in the asylum for that thing, right? But he saw it.
Wow. Crazy people.
So once again, this is coming from a guy who didn't really go to school. I am just very passionate about it. I'm passionate about humanity. I'm passionate about what we can do.
Now, talking about your passion and your love for humanity, right? So you took a path that is quite unorthodox, right? So you drop out of school and everything. But was there any moment in your life during your journey you regretted everything?
I think regret will come to everybody at some point, right?
Yeah, but did you hit your lowest?
Well, I wouldn't say it hit my lowest per se. There was obviously a lot of questions about self-doubt, Obviously, there were questions about what am I going to do with my life? Is this thing going to work out, right? But to be honest, it didn't affect me too much. Honestly, I was really having too much fun out there. I was just exploring and forgetting about life for a bit, right? There's just so much that's out there. If you just open your eyes a bit, listen a bit more, right? Just sit and watch the world go by, and then you will see, oh, it's a big place, right? It's a big place. Now, you will get depressed when you will fall to the bottom when you question yourself. And why do you question yourself? Most of the time I found out it's because I wanted to leave my mark on something. I wanted to be known for something. I wanted people to know me for this. I wanted to people to recognize me for this. I wanted to leave an impact. But when you put that all aside, right? And when you look at how can I grow? Then it becomes a very different thing. Forget about leaving the mark, leaving impact. People don't have to remember me. I'm not interested in them remembering me. But I am interested in growing. I am interested in helping people. And I'm interested in knowing what's out there. Eventually, that mark, all these things that you wanted, the mark, the recognition, the reward, all will come back. But it wasn't my priority. My priority was just to know more. Like, I think one of your questions, I'm just going to skip to it, is a degree relevant in today's day and age? I think it depends on why you want to get a degree in the first place. Most people go through the system, I go to school, I take my exams, I score high in my exams, I take a good degree from a good school. Why do we do all that? Right? It's to get a job. Nothing wrong with that, right? That's how the world works. You get a job, you get paid, and then you live your life as you want. But primarily, it's to get a job. So why I went back to the system again is because I didn't need a job. I had no need for paper qualifications whatsoever, right? I was not about to go and apply for a job somewhere. It was because I wanted the knowledge. I didn't want the knowledge. I didn't even want the paper. Right? I wanted the knowledge. I wanted the understanding of how this worked, right? I wanted a deeper understanding of the mechanics of business, why it worked the way it does. Who are the movers in the industry, who are the drivers, what don't I know? So I went there for knowledge, purely for knowledge. It just turned out that after that, I happened to get a job like again after that. Just to happen that way. It was never my intention to do so. So once again, it depends on what you want to do with it, right? To me, and we hear this said a lot, knowledge is power. Actually, no, knowledge is half of the power. Applied knowledge is power, right? If knowledge, you have it and you don't apply it, don't do something with it, that's just only half the equation.
That's
Kan?
Actually, I just had a conversation about this yesterday, I think, with Anis Adiba. Was it? Oh, I don't remember. Oh, no, it was 2 days ago. 2 days ago. I think I was questioning her, like, how do you know, how you certain about what you want to take in university, right? And then, like, at the end, not all people are going to take the same job as their degree.
90% of people don't.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
what's the point of taking a degree?
What do I do? Oh, I studied mechanical engineering. What do you know? I sell insurance. Right? Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. Right?
It just made me wonder, like, what's the point of me going to university? Or, like, me taking a degree in the first place? And then she was like, she just said university is a place to, network, explore and everything. But I think one thing that just hit me was that she said that, it's all about what you want in life.
Correct.
Yeah, what you want in life and what you want to pursue, right? Because at the end of the day, it's what you want. It's what you use with that degree. How well you use with that knowledge, right? Because I feel like when you finish the course, you just get a piece of paper. But the next step is how, like you said, how you apply in different industries. Because I feel like everything that you learn can be applied to anywhere. Yeah. Like for example, if you're an engineer, you become a content creator. So as an engineer, you have to be efficient, right? You have to be efficient. You have to be technical. So you have to present your data at the most accurate way, so people would want to read it. But if you apply your knowledge as a content creator, you want to make it as attractive. Combine them together, you make it interesting points. So I feel like it's more on it's not really about what you get from the piece of paper, but it's what you learn from the entire 4 years.
To me, it's what you become. It's supposed to be a process where it doesn't change you not only in what you learn, but your habits, your worldview, the way you see people, the way you interact with people, right? The way you understand the world as you grow up. When it's not so much about I took a degree in field A and I do something in field B, right? I think it's whether you want to learn more about something, right? There's no harm in saying I took a degree in engineering because I love it. I work in content creation, right? But I do enjoy engineering. I'm passionate about it. I am passionate about physics. I love physics, right? At some point when this whole thing is all over, right? I've exited this company, all that's settled already. I'm going to try and do a degree in theoretical physics somewhere because I just love this stuff, right? And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Always pushing the limits of what you can do, and there's honestly there's so much that's out there right now, and it's so easy to learn now. One of the analogies I like to come across, right? Does education equate to success? And this is a question I get asked a lot, right? So let's visualize something. Let's visualize an individual, right, who didn't go to school, doesn't have any degree left. Let's say he only has a UPSR, right? He can read, can write, can do some basic arithmetic, and can understand language. Now, this individual, what sort of job would he? Let's follow this job option, right? What sort of job would he legitimately be able to do with just this? And a lot of the times I ask it to an audience, and the audience comes up with a bunch of different jobs. Usually it's a blue collar job. I banyak dengar janitor, okay, tukang cuci jamban. No disrespect to janitors, to tukang cuci jamban. If every CEO today in Malaysia died, tomorrow there will be a replacement. If every garbage collector in Malaysia today disappeared, I don't think there'll be anyone who can operate the garbage truck. I don't think anyone would want to go down there. They don't have any idea what to do. They have no clue where to start, right? So these are the people who actually keep the world going. So a lot of the time I get, okay, this guy UPSR after that, maybe boleh lah sapu sampah, cuci jamban. Okay, fine. Let's assume I am now a guy I'm a janitor. I wash toilets for a living, right? Is that something that I want to go back and tell my parents, say, I'm married to a janitor. Is that something you want to be proud of? Is this something that you want to talk to people? Hey, I'm a janitor. Well, to me, it's an honest living, right? So all that nak kata apa perspective on whether this is a good job or not, let's put that aside. It's an honest living. He's not stealing, right? He's not cheating anybody's money, and he is not doing anything that's against the law. It's good to me. Let's say I'm this janitor, right? Where do I start? What would I do? Now, if I happen to be a janitor, right, and this is a big if, the first thing that I would do is I would make sure that I'd be the best damn janitor you've ever seen in your entire life. I will show up to work on time, right? I'll show up to work be ahead of time, and when I clean those toilets, they're going to be as clean as, put expletive here, right? They're going to be damn clean. You're going to be able to eat your lunch off the damn toilet. I'll make sure day in, day out, this is what I'm going to do, right? Now, what happens when I keep up that standard of excellence? After a while, people say, hey, this guy not bad, Brother ni not bad. He's coming in on time. He's not complaining. And his work is just good. I mean, it's literally BS work. You but he was very, very good. You get noticed. Second thing, I will familiarize myself with everything in my equipment, right? I know which brush to use. I know which detergent to use. When something breaks, I know how to fix it. I don't only know how to fix it. When something breaks, if I can't fix it, I know which supplier. I know which supplier give me the best price for this. I know who can do it better, who can do it on time. I make recommendations. So, what happens is I get noticed again. Hey, management kata not bad, brother ni, kan? He actually knows how to fix these issues. He's fixing things we never saw, and he's doing things that are more efficient than what we can think of. So what happens? I get noticed. I move up the chain. And then the next thing I'll probably do, I'll read books on management. I'll read books on management. I'll read books on, the history or where the industry of of being a janitor or the toilet industry is going, right? I'll read up books on plumbing. I would speak to other people. I would speak to people who own these sort of companies. What's going on? What can I do better? And maybe it may take me 5, 10, 15, 20 years. But could you see this guy owning that company? Could you see him from this UPSR guy yang tak ada apa kan? Suddenly he ends up owning the damn company. He became MD of this janitor company. Possible, right? So these are the things we don't want to think about. And there is a way. And I'm not saying it's easy. I'm not saying it's easy. This guy, this poor chap, probably some immigrant from South Asia somewhere, right? Has a wife and kid to feed. 70% of his gaji goes back there again. But is there a possibility that this could happen? And the answer is yes. If the answer is yes, then it's possible, right? We just have not seen it that way because it's difficult, right? Because it's difficult. And what I just described is not something that's fictional, a stretch of the imagination, right? It's something that actually does seem quite realistic, and you may have actually heard stories like this. So it's up to us whether you want to do or not. Itu je lah.
Wow.
Kan? Jadi dalam tiba-tiba.
Mungkin we can go a bit more deeper. Tapi Hazi, you dah senyap satu episod ni.
You guys invited me for the show. You all know what to expect.
Yeah, we know what to expect. Tapi sebelum kita nak menutup episod ni, sebab I know we could go all day. We could, tapi kita kena faham yang audience ni pun ada masa dia orang gak. Tapi sebelum kita menamatkan episod ini, menamatkan episod terakhir untuk Wak Now Jom Lepak pada tahun ini, saya nak tanya Kak Aziz. Okay. Hang ni dah senyap lah. Satu episod Hang senyap. Ada sakit sikit kan. Hang fikir pasal apa tadi?
Fikir pasal apa? Fikir macam-macam. Nah, it's a lot of things. He did explain a lot of things, and I was just listening. But I it's not in a situation where I could explain A, B, C, D. So I'll just stick with you.
Ada tapi
maybe we can go over this episode together one from 19 later.
Betul. Apa ni, I think before we end the year, right, Aziz, I think we need to do a reflection episode.
Sure.
About what we did the entire year.
Actually, now that you mentioned it, sorry, I'll go off tangent again. One thing that I did do a lot is reflect. I reflected so much, dude. You know how sometimes you bila masa lulus sekolah or kuliah, and you have this period called reflection. Kan? It's apa benda lah reflection? It's such a bloody waste of time, right? But a reflection, kan? It shouldn't be. I look back and I did this, and yes, aku champion. Actually, no. A reflection should be a very honest, a very frank assessment of what happened, what went wrong, how did it go wrong, how did I react to this situation, and how do I react better to it in the future. This is the purpose of a reflection. And so it is a very frank assessment of, I screwed this up. I know I screwed this up. I may not have to admit it to everybody, but I know I screwed this up. It shouldn't be a depressing thing. I screwed this up. I'm an idiot. I am no use. I tak boleh pakai. No. It should say, okay, I screwed this up. Here are maybe 3 ways I could have done it better. Here are 3 ways I could have done it better. And would these 3 ways, right, could I implement these ways into the next screw up? Because let me tell you, life is just a bunch of screw ups and then you die. Really, that's it. It's all in how you deal with it. And I don't see mistakes. I just see lessons learned, right? Of course, some lessons are very big and very, very painful, and it takes a lot of tenacity, a lot of grit, and a lot of heart to see it through. Some people don't make it, can? Some people just crumble, can? And don't crumble. There's always a way out of it. And these are the things you have to think about during that reflection, right? What went wrong? How did it go wrong? How can it do better? Was it an external thing, or was it an internal thing? If it was external, can I manage it better? If it was internal, can I change my habits? That is the purpose of reflection. It shouldn't be, so I reflect about it, I did this as a hero. That's a very simplistic way to do it. Yeah. And reflect on how you got to where you are. Don't just reflect on the incident, reflect how you got to where you are. And like I said, we're having a conversation just now, kan? Everyone, and then this office you see today, this person you see today, these ideas you see today, these are not my ideas. These are ideas that I inherited from the people that I met, right? These so-called successes that we see, right? They're not all mine. Most of it were actually by people who gave me a chance. And if you think about it, everyone is where they are today because at some point someone took a chance on you, and someone took a decision on you, right? You interned for ISS, right? Institute of Malaysia. Sebelum you intern, kan, before the interview, you had to send your CV somewhere, right? And I'm sure when they see your CV, they probably don't know your face, they probably don't know who you are, right? They've probably never met you before, and they have a bunch of other CVs as well. And they look at this guy and say, okay, I don't know this guy, his grades seem up to par, everybody's grades are up to par, by the way. But let's give this guy a chance. Someone took a chance on you, right? And the same thing, if you've ever had a scholarship before, if you had an internship before, had a job before, someone just took a chance on you. So you are where you are because of the decisions of others. There is some hard work and there is some luck. If anybody says I wasn't there because I was lucky, it's a complete lie, right? But a lot of it was really in the decision of other people, right? And when you reflect, include that. Always include that. Because you are here today because of the decisions of other people beyond your control. And when you recognize that, you will also recognize it is your responsibility to also push that forward, to carry that forward as well, to give others a chance the way you have been given.
Wow.
This was my biggest takeaway.
And I don't have to ask any last words because that was his last words.
Those are amazing words. Yeah.
I feel this is one step ahead of me. Dia tahu aku akan fikir apa nanti.
Orang Langkawi semua tahu.
Oh, kali ni keluar semua
keluar semua pula. Orang kampung dah keluar ni.
Jangan aku keluar pergi cakap orang Tokar ni.
Oi.
Ni kiranya episode terakhir ni keluar pula aku punya ni.
Oh wow, okay.
Wow, what a season has it.
Yeah, there was a lot of episodes, a lot of discussion, a lot of new things. I mean, a lot of stories.
Yeah.
A lot of new things that I think that I would have to take some time, stop and listen to every single thing for me to like internalize and think.
Yeah.
Which is right, reflection, right? And I mean, first let's just talk about reflection.
Ilya.
Ilya was also talking about reflection. You gotta reflect.
Reflect properly.
Reflect properly.
Terima kasih lah.
Betul. I mean, looking back on this is just a bit of my reflection. Before we end, just 1 minute. I feel like we've done a lot for this season. I think it's no other season that we have, personally, because I think the people that we invited were just they were just, normal people, but that incredible stories to tell. Yeah. Coming.
This is our first time recording everything physically. We never done this before.
Yeah.
It's a great that we just kept on going instead of just like some. Our first try was kind of funny. Some we had problems with the recording.
And
Kept on going, and we are here today. Like I'm grateful we got here. And you're right lah. We should definitely reflect about what didn't work.
and honestly, this is just to all the guests that we had, starting from season 1. Thank you for giving us the chance.
Yeah. Thank you, Eizaz, for giving us a chance to be here.
Yeah.
My pleasure.
So like, now when he mentioned it, it makes me feel grateful that you guys, even the guests, even the audience who's listening to, even give us the chance to listen to our podcast is a huge step to greatness. And thank you from the bottom of our hearts. Thank you.
Let's go.
But we have to end this episode today. But thank you, Eizaz, so much, man.
Thank you so much for having me, and stay tuned, guys. More to come.
Yes, we have a lot of things coming up next year. Kita ada banyak. I think we're in production with 2 videos. But we're not going to tell you what type of videos we're doing. That's a surprise. Yep. So
That's also a really big project. Like I never thought that the podcast was that to the point where we're making videos like that.
Yeah. So if you want to know what type of videos we're doing, lepak lagi. Subscribe.
Hit the subscribe button, guys.
Janganlah nak tengok podcast ni. Okay, tapi kita terpaksa kita kena akhir episod ini. Okay, terima kasih kepada semua yang menonton sampai minit-minit sangat-sangat terakhir ini. Okay, so you can follow Wan Ojo Melepak on Instagram, Spotify, YouTube, Twitter. I think we will have Twitter soon, hopefully. And Facebook, LinkedIn, wherever you can find our podcast. And you can follow us at?
You can follow me at, I don't have any social media, but visit us at Peninsula Apex Technology, apex.ms. Check out our website, apex.ms.
Apex.ms, yeah. And you can follow Hazikado. You can follow Hazik at Hazikado on Instagram, and you can follow me at Saim Haikal at Saim Haikal on Instagram. Feel free to ask us anything in the chat. We'll be glad to talk to you guys, and if you guys want to meet with our guests, feel free. Of course, we have to arrange everything and all, but if you want some networking experience, we're the guys.
Alright.
Thank you for listening to the last episode of Wan Ojo Melepak. Thank you, Eizaz, again, to become the best finale for this season. And we'll see you next year. Till then.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.